I'm making this video in the interest of helping people who really don't understand how to push cartels at all. These are fairly well-known, simple strats to the veterans. I believe them to be I believe that they work consistently. But understand this is again for noobs and not targeted people who know what they're doing. So I'm gonna go over 2 strats for church and 2 strats for OG, and then I'm just gonna throw some key pointers, I guess, that will help you as a newer or lesser experienced gang win more often. So for this first push here, you can do it with just one Ifrit, and it doesn't matter if you have 5 or 6 people or 15. The idea is that you take Big Rock, which is this rock up here, this big one, and you get as many of your teammates as possible on Big Rock. You're going to want to make sure that there's no one down south, like the south coastline, that could really fuck things up for you. So you have all your teammates out on Big Rock. You want to keep someone in the Ifrit, aside from the driver. So, like another passenger in case the driver gets shot out. That way they can't steal the Ifrit and basically ruin your whole push. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to gain some speed. And that is so that it decreases the likelihood of you being shot out. Sometimes it doesn't even matter, but regardless, I think it's safer to get some speed. And basically, you're going to smoke off tree and you're going to smoke off slant all in one smoke to the best of your ability. And you're going to want to push tree rock and push slant as a team. So the way it's going to work, obviously I wouldn't be sitting here in the Ifrit with like a cartel full of people, but in the interest of explaining to you guys, they're going to have people on slant most likely, and probably a dude on tree rock, and then people on dip, etc., etc. So once you push slant and get all the kills on slant that you need to get, and hopefully by the time the smoke goes away, you have most of the revives that you need, because you're going to lose quite a few people pushing slant. It kind of depends on how good the enemy gang is that you're facing, but push slant, get the revives, if doable, all within the time that the smoke is up. It's important that you use it. It's there for a reason. So the second smoke, there's 2 ways you can actually go about doing this, in my opinion. You can smoke off dip, basically just smoke off all of top dip and like sort of north rocks. Alternatively, this is what I prefer to do. You can sort of smoke off end rocks over there, southwest corner, and like the entrance into dip, like the southern entrance into dip. And I prefer to do it that way because I've been killed way too many times by people on southwest corner. So this is just how I prefer to do it, and I think it works better this way myself. So you can see the entrance into dip is sort of smoked off there, and you're just going to want to have all your teammates rush in and get as many trades and kills as possible and revives within that short time span, because the more time you waste, the more time you're wasting with the smoke being up, and it only lasts for so long. So it's just something to keep in mind. Next, I'll show you a west push. What the fuck? Okay, so a west push is, again, a fairly simple strat. You're going to want to have a hard aimer on end rocks, which is these rocks up here. You want to be careful, or tell your hard aimer to be careful, I should say, because portions of these rock, like what's in front of my Ifrit right now, you can shoot through that. I prefer to sit on these like small 3 rocks right here next to me. That's just me. I don't hard aim that often. So there's a couple ways you can go about doing this. The most simple way is to simply push West Rock, and that's what some people prefer to do, just because it's quicker, it's simpler, whatever. Um, Alternatively, you can put a guy on meme wedge. Just know that it leaves him open to water spot and like lower meme and stuff. It's very frequent that when you drop a guy on meme wedge, he gets shot in the back. So you want to be aware of that. Um, Now, after you take West Rock, regardless of if you drop a guy on meme wedge or not, you want to make sure that your hard aimer is watching the south wall and like the southern, this like little dip area right in front of my effort here. Because oftentimes they'll have someone rotate off cap to go shoot people on the side on West Rock, and if your hard aimer dies, you need to make sure someone's covering that in some shape or form. From here, it's pretty much a wallbang fest. You just wallbang the dude at water barrel, maybe wallbang one or two in dip, and you pretty much just clean up the fight from there. You can also put one or two people in the effort with you if you have enough, and you can drop a guy on slant rock or put someone on north rocks to kind of pinch them. That's a common thing to do as well. Alright, so next. Okay, so the most common thing that people do in terms of an OG push is a window rocks push. In my opinion, to do this, it's in your best interest if you have vendor rocks. Because of the way that people play vendor rocks nowadays, the way people defend it, taking vendor rocks can be very, very difficult sometimes, and you might you might end up like wiping on vendor, which is not what you want to do. So if you're gonna push window, I would say it's in your best interest to have vendor. If you don't, it's kind of a death sentence. Now, if you are pushing window, you definitely do want to have star. If you can't get vendor, and if you do want to push window for whatever reason, but in my opinion, star is a better hard aimer because they can see banana rocks more clearly, and they can stop people from rotating a lot better. So when you push window rocks, you actually want to be right here. More like right there, ideally. And that's so you don't get, the people in your effort are less likely to get shot in the side from cunt. You might say this leaves you more exposed to banana rocks, but that's okay because your star hard aimer should be able to stop them. Now you just want to push window rocks together, get as many kills and trades, same deal as before with dip as possible, and revives. Most of the fight, if they don't beat you or wipe you on West Rock, or excuse me, window rocks or East rocks, as some people call them, most of the time the fight's already over. So after you got the revives and shit that you need, just get the executes, because you gotta think like that takes them out of the fight permanently. From there, you can either kill cunt or you can have a peak battle with horseshoe. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once you kill cunt, taking castle rocks is a breeze. Kill castle. Again, the fight after you take window rocks is pretty much over. Now for a banana push. Oh, and one more thing. If you want to smoke window rocks, that's in my, I guess, personal preference. A lot of gangs don't do it nowadays because it kind of fucks up what your hard aimer can see. I would say if you are going to smoke off anything, you should smoke off cunt, because they can effectively hard aim window rocks without being exposed. I could show you what that looks like. So smoke off cunt, no problemo. Now cunt can't see you. Okay, so push a banana push. Pretty simple banana push. It's up to the individual. I suppose if they want to use Star as a hard aimer, I've debated whether or not in the past if Star or Dildo is more important, but I think you should at least, regardless, still have Dildo because of Horseshoe. Now, when you push Banana Rocks, you want to end up like right about here. And you want to make sure that people aren't exposing themselves to Horseshoe, and you want to make sure that people aren't exposing themselves to Banana Rocks as the two key things. The way this used to work before like Quillins and stuff became a thing is you'd smoke off the east cubby and part of window and whatnot, and you would actually run behind the wall and get the trades and whatnot on the other side. But because of Quillins, it doesn't really happen anymore. So what most people end up doing now is they like leave one or two guys on banana, and then they essentially take window in some way. So those are, in my opinion, two really simple strats. The only two things that I would leave with anyone who's looking to get into cartels or improve themselves at cartels, whatever the case is treat revives more importantly than kills. What I mean by that is apply some common sense, of course. If someone is right in front of you, and if you don't kill him, he's going to kill you, obviously it makes more sense to kill him. I mean, don't be an idiot. But, you know, let's say you have a teammate who needs a revive, and you're the only person who can revive, and you're having a peak battle with some guy on castle or window rocks or whatever the case is. Like, just cut that shit out and revive them, because if you get killed, then they need to revive two people. So it just makes more sense. Don't be kill greedy. Play to win, is what I mean, for your team. And don't bait your teammates. In my opinion, it's easier to illustrate this at church, so that's what I'm going to do. So, for the east push, for instance, this kind of incorporates into use the smokes. So, for the sake of explaining this, I'll use the smokes and do my best to explain to you what I mean. It takes a long time for some people to get this when really it shouldn't. It's just this extremely simple concept. Regardless, so once tree rock and slant rock are smoked off, what you want to do is push up with your whole team, maybe leaving one guy on bedrock as like a hard aimer of some kind to see through the smoke, whatever. But push up with the better part of your team together all at once as soon as the smokes are like fully deployed, and go kill tree rock and then slant. You have to use speed and swiftness with this, because if you don't, you're just wasting the time for the smoke, as I mentioned earlier. It's the same thing with dip. Again, just push as a team, push together, don't bait your fucking teammates, use the smokes, get as many revives as possible, and that's pretty much how you win in cartels. I mean, there's definitely raw aim and raw skill involved, but the better part of it is just working as a team, in my opinion, and having team chemistry. That's pretty much it, fellas.